Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Fast Break. Thank you for joining us tonight here on IE Sports Radio and SpeakerRadio.com. Dentarius, how you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How's everything going with you, man? It's definitely counting down to when the season comes back. So I'm super excited about that and what's going to come with it.
Yes, sir. I'm excited as well. You know, we're 2 days away. Well, about 3 days away, excuse me, for I guess the quote unquote preseason. So some of these teams get their feet under them. So we'll talk about that here in a second. Also on the docket for today's show, the NBA awards. We'll give our thoughts and opinions on that. Who should win? Who shouldn't win? All that stuff. And also, Elena Della Donne. She's in a bit of a pickle, we should say. And we'll discuss her situation on that and much more. But D-Lock, we're about week 2 in the bubble. And, you mentioned to me before, hours before we got on the show that the writers, they're free to go to scout out and venture out and stuff like that to kind of experience everything. How do you think these players are doing going week 2 and within the bubble? How do you think, their mindset is in now? Once they got used to everything, the food, all that stuff, the activities, and with the, season about to restart, how do you think their mindset is right now?
I think they're probably getting acclimated. Now they're, like I said, you've been over here probably for a little bit of time. You've practiced, you've been around your teammates, your coaches. Actually seeing that the reporters now can come out of quarantine. So right now you're getting a lot of, they're used to it now. So now it's just all about playing ball. I mean, they're going out doing a couple things. You will have some people that will break the rules. So let's just, let's just accept that and let's know that's going to happen. So you're going to have people that's going to do that. The biggest thing for me is, the testing. How often are they going to test?
Yeah.
That's going to be very huge. The more that they test so they can make sure, hey, we have the whole team being clean or whatever. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of people wearing masks if they're not actually on the court. So I think it's going to be very exciting. This is a time where they are venturing out a little bit, but we are seeing some people still tested positive and some people are actually clearing up. The closer that it starts. So it's very exciting for a lot of players and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans. To me, it's going to be very interesting to see how these games look without fans.
Yeah, and like last week's show, we kind of wondered about Russell Westbrook and James Harden, and then come to find out, kind of like the next day, we found out Russell Westbrook was positive for COVID-19 and is eventually going to join the team. And then Harden, they said he had it, and they say he didn't have it, but he's officially in Houston with the team, so that's good to hear. And see those two guys get acclimated to the bubble as well. You mentioned about testing. How you think that the NBA would go about testing? Like after each game or the day after each of these teams play? How do you think the NBA is going to go about it in that situation?
Well, I really think that right now you're going to get a lot more tested than anything because, they want to make sure that this doesn't, like it does. One, they're in one of the highest states, with the most cases. So they want to make sure that this doesn't go up at all. That's what they want to make sure. So we're going to see them, test a lot more. They're gonna do a lot of different probably going to be a lot more. So we're going to see people that get tested like maybe after practice every day. If you cough one time, you're probably going to get tested ASAP. Sneeze or any symptom that they think. So this is going to be something that's going to be done, a lot. Now, players that don't really play that often, I think that they're going to get tested the most, just because they have to be prepared as if somebody says somebody doesn't play. Because remember now, even though we're talking about people missing games for testing, injuries still can possibly happen. They're likely going to happen. So now you're still thinking about the fact that other players still have to get in and be ready. So you're going to see them get tested a lot as well. And I really believe that this is going to be, again, I know baseball is going to start soon, but NBA is going to show us, they're going to preview what every other sport has to do, or what every other sport should do, or what they should think about doing. We were talking about off air how football is trying to get, their things put together, how they want to set up, players are trying to figure out how they're going to have their league going and things like that. So what basketball do, coming up, what the NBA do as far as the testing, as far as setting up the quarantine, they're getting watched by every sport. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how things go. But I think that the testing aspect, that's going to be done more than anything. They're probably going to have a specific area set up where they definitely go there and test, like probably every other day or something like that. Or obviously when you feel like you have some kind of symptoms, you're going to go straight over there.
Yeah, it's going to be a thing to kind of monitor as things progress, and especially when the preseason, quote unquote preseason, kicks off there in 3 days, and see how how they go about the testing and stuff like that. Make sure you guys are staying healthy and whatnot. But there's another thing that's going on in bubble life. Players, family emergencies coming up. We seen that with Montrezl Harrell, the Morris twins, Zion Williamson. He had to leave the ball for urgent matter. If you think about this, D-Lock, if you're getting down in nitty gritty trying to make the playoffs, like the team like the Pelicans, and then for the Clippers, Harrell, who's like a big part of their offense and defense, for that team. If you coming in and out of the bubble and you guys go on quarantine and get tested, how do you think that affect team chemistry and kind of like, their goals as a squad? Like, dang, Zion's going to be out. He has to leave. And we're really nothing without him. What you think about, those type of situations?
Well, I think first, to be honest, now I know there is a lot of family emergency, scenarios that go on. We don't know exactly what happens or what is happening with, their families. But honestly, I think we're going to hear that a lot. Because you got to think, right? They're in a bubble where they're trying to make sure that you have no reason to leave unless there's a family emergency. So if they want to go home to check on something, or they have to go grab something, or whatever reason, I do think that there are going to be times where it's not necessarily always a family emergency, but they use that as a reason to leave. The reason why I say that is because like I said, you have wives, or families that have this life that they live and different things that they have to do. So there's going to be times, through this restart, that we're going to see plenty players leave. Now, unless some of these players brought their family members down, which is probably very highly unlikely, you're going to see a lot of scenarios where, hey, I have to go and do this. Now, they're not going to say the exact reason, but we've already seen Montrezl Harrell and Zion already say family emergency, and we haven't even started the season yet, or restart yet. So there are going to be a lot of players that have to double check, have to make sure that their family is good, and they have other things, obligations that they have to deal with as well. So now, as far as it affecting the team, I think that, from us on the outside looking in, we just see that, okay, well, this person is leaving. I think that these kind of conversations that they have, they prep for it. So the fact that Zion was leaving, it's news to us, the day that they announced it, but it probably was something that the organization in New Orleans Pelicans, everybody in that organization already knew was going to happen days before. So they prepared for it. And this is why I was saying earlier, you were talking about the testing. We were talking about the testing earlier. This is why players that are not really in rotation that much, they're going to be tested a lot. They're going to be on the court a lot. This is the time where they're going to see a lot of practice with the ones or that second rotation of players or that second group, because at any time, any of these players may have to go back home for whatever reason. So I think that this is going to show us the chemistry that how much these teams put in the work to win. A team that I was thinking about, we didn't really get to it. It'll probably lead us to later on. But the team that I was thinking that may shock a couple people that could actually make a run to the title is the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
I think because of this scenario, the biggest thing that all these teams need in this scenario right now in the NBA is depth. Right now, you need to go really deep in your bench and grab a player that can come in and make these moves. A player that we may see that may make a huge move is Kyle Korver. We didn't see too much of him in the season that much, but the fact that Eric Bledsoe just test positive, you got George here, you got a couple other guys that they have, you're going to see the Bucks go deep into their roster, right? They're going to go on their bench and pull all these other players out. And as we were saying, how is it going to affect these teams? It's going to affect the players that don't play that much. They're going to get in, but now these are the veterans that you signed during the season to, make that run. I'm pretty sure the Lakers and the Clippers, would love to have Jamal Crawford right now. That's the reason why the Lakers got J.R. Smith, because they know chemistry is going to play a huge part. Deion Waiters is still there. But some of these role players, like I said, if you hear a couple players going back home for a couple days, you need a player to come in and play big minutes. Kyle Korver is one of the guys that can do that. Even though we talked about it earlier and we didn't think we would see much of him, but J.R. Smith is a guy that can come in and play some minutes. He can get on the court with LeBron and not necessarily drop 40 points. We're not asking him to do that, but he can get the minutes and know what LeBron is thinking. So this is going to play a huge part. Now that we are at the end of the season, this is going to be huge, and it's going to be very interesting to see how many players, have different things to go to during the playoffs. Because once the playoffs start, now this chemistry is very, very huge. So I would love to see how this is going to play out, because the leadership is going to be big. The leadership that LeBron brings, Kawhi brings, Giannis, James Harden, a lot of this. And one of my best friends, who were getting ready to get back on FanDuel, and as soon as we hear about Russell Westbrook not playing, the first person he's telling me to grab is, we have to get James Harden. So because he knows that James Harden is going to be the leader now. Well, he's going to play a bigger role as a leader on this team. So him and Robert Covington. So these leaders are going to play a huger role on these teams when these different players take, a day or two away from the bubble.
Yeah, and for the Pelicans' sake, like for Zion, that kind of they're outside that 8 seed in the West, behind Memphis and then behind Portland. You got kind of like a battle, uphill battle right there, because you got a Memphis team that, let's be honest, D-Log, that we really didn't expect a lot from, for how young they're going to be with John Morant, Jaren Jackson, and others. And then we'll talk about it in the awards part here later on. That they did a hell of a job coaching wise. I forgot the coach's name right now. I'll look it up here in a second, but he's done a hell of a job with that squad and getting them where they at right now.
Yeah.
And for the Pelicans, Yes, they got an all-star Ingram, and it's good to see that Ingram, you know, is healthy and thriving in the league. Same thing with Lonzo, and you will hope those guys will come in, make some noise, and then wherever Zion comes back, come in like Thor in the Infinity War, come in and be the hero and save the day.
Yeah.
And maybe they can make the push past Portland and then maybe past Memphis. But with Portland, though, if the Pelicans trying to get over that hump, they got the two bigs coming back.
Portland, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Portland, the only reason, right? I mean, okay, they're missing Trevor Ariza, but dude, they got CJ McCollum. If Dame comes out and plays, they have a nice roster. They got Whiteside, and Nurkic is a beast, honestly. I mean, he showed his ass last year. He was really good at the end of last year. So you have a lot of pieces, and then you added Melo. So you got the shooters. Honestly, I'm thinking that you can go out there with a Twin Towers mindset. I want your opinion on that, but you go out there with Nurkic and Whiteside if you really want to. I mean, dude, if you do that, you're grabbing everything off the glass. The Clippers will have a problem if you do that. It's tough, but right now, I ain't gonna lie. I'm looking at it I play NBA a lot, and when I play, I definitely try to go with the Boogie and the AD combination and dominate in the paint and then do whatever. But this team, right? You can go with Whiteside, Nurkic, probably can limit Melo minutes a little bit. You still got Melo, you still got CJ McCollum, you got Dame, you got the shooters. Dude, they can make a big run, but when Dame came out and said, well, I don't know if I'm going to play, if we don't have a chance, it kind of strayed me away from it a little bit. But they got the roster. They definitely got a roster for it.
Well, one thing, I thought about with them, with the other two guys, Zach Collins and Yurcha's coming back, I was like, wow, they kind of, got a lot of guys in those down low. You throw in Whiteside, and then you got guys like, Waylon Gabriel in there in the mix as well. Caleb Swearigan as well. Used to play at Purdue. I mean, he's the guy. I mean, that his game is just down low. So you got at least 5 bigs right there. Then your wing players, you got Gary Trent Jr., Anthony Simmons, McCollum, Lillard. You got Nasir Little. You still got Rodney Hood in the mix. And then, of course, you got Melo as well.
I forgot about Rodney Hood. Golly.
Yeah.
I forgot about him.
So you got Rodney Hood in the mix as well.
Yes.
You got Mario Hezonja as well, which, I don't know how much you expect from him.
I mean, but see, with him, he's going to be he's not a big time player, but I do think he's going to play a little bit of a role. But they, like you said, they're loaded. They have bodies, and I'm to the point now where I have to see how Dame's going to take it, because dude, they have a lot of pieces. Tolliver is not really a huge piece, but he is a big man that can go out there and shoot the 3 from time to time. So you have a ton of pieces with that team. But if you're the number one, again, it goes back to leadership. I'm glad we kind of touched on Portland, because that's what it falls through. It goes to leadership. If Dame is saying, well, I don't know, and I have to see, okay, you know what? Okay, he's taking it where he's trying to drop 40, 48 and 10 a game. He's trying to go for the triple-double every game. If I see that, then I don't want to say that the Clippers will have to watch out for him, but I do think that they could make a push, because you said, and we know, they got the big man, right?
Yeah.
That is one thing that the Clippers struggle with. I mean, Trez is a solid off the bench player. He can start. But I do think that if done correctly with the players that Portland has, they can make a huge run, and they can upset a lot of people. But it's and obviously you got the Nuggets over there too. But Portland is built pretty good to me. But again, your leader is just going to show you what's going to happen. And if I see that Dame is actually, you know what, all in, then I can see them making a huge run.
I can go with that. And, one thing, to watch with this Portland team, if they're going to make a run, like, I know Ariz is up. I mean, he's 35 years old. That's hard to believe that, he's that old. But, my thing to watch for Portland is like you mentioned, how's Dame's mentality is going to be, coming to this bubble in which, he was kind of one of those first few, like, I'll support y'all, but I ain't going to play. And, he seemed like, he kind of changed his tune on that, and we'll see how, things go with him. Another person kind of watching Portland, though, McCollum, CJ McCollum. He kind of,
Yep.
I won't say he wasn't his regular self this past year, D-Lock, but it's just like at times he kind of he disappears. Like you go look in the box score, it's like it disappears for him. It's like, yeah, I see Dane got his stats. Then you look up like, what's CJ at? Then he had like off night shooting, but next thing you know, you see Gary Trent have a good game.
Yeah, well, it's now to this team. I think a person that made a huge impact. I don't know if they were expecting it. Was Melo.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Melo coming in, they wasn't expecting him to be actually starting and taking a lot of minutes. But we know what kind of player Melo is. Melo is a player that he's kind of similar to the Mamba mentality a little bit. He's going to shoot first and then pass later. So, he gets a board. I probably can bet everything in my bank account that he's going to put it back up before he passes it. So, a lot of the times, a lot of the shots that McCollum was getting, Melo was getting. So, Dame's going to get his shots. Now, CJ McCollum, one thing I do realize with him is he is kind of like that Robin, to Batman with Dame. So he played that role where he's kind of that perfect role player. Now he's not a tear down. I think he can be like the main player on another team, but it just doesn't seem like that's a role that he would want to take. To me, it seems like he wants to take that Robin role. It doesn't seem like he wants to be that role, that player, because even when Dame was out for a while, he was expecting CJ to just go off every night. And you can see there were some nights where he was, okay, this game I'm going to have a good game, but in the next couple of games I'm going to just chill for a little bit, relax, let Melo and let Gary Trent take over. It's time to go off again. Okay, well, now I'm about to go out here and drop 30. So, to me, that's the role that I think that he kind of plays. I don't think he wants to carry all of that weight, and which is why I said this team is solid. It's just, do we see them make that push depending on what Dame does? If Dame is not in, I probably would have to, kind of scale back and just say, hey, they'll get up in there and then, get bumped out. But if Dame is in, he's the main leader. Now you're gonna get the best CJ McCollum when Dame is playing. But it just seems like you said right now, he's not. He can easily. I think he's one of those players that can average about 25, 30 a night, easy. But it's just like with his play, he doesn't want to do that. And then also what goes along with that, what makes it worse, is you have another player on a team that's going to put the ball, he's going to shoot it anytime he can, and Melo. Mm-hmm. Anytime he touches the rock, he's going to shoot it. So that's taking away some of the shots that CJ McCollum gets. And we'll see. I think that they're going to make a huge move, but CJ McCollum would have to, if Dame was to, kind of go with the motion and they had to really lean on CJ McCollum, I probably wouldn't bet the farm on them getting to the next round.
Yeah, and it's going to be it's just interesting to see how they come out in this bubble and get to playing. I'll be honest with you. You know, after New Orleans, those other teams, the only team that really can make a push up to the AC is potentially the Spurs.
Yeah.
But with Memphis, Dallas right there, and Portland, like you said, depending on how those guys come in and play. And then with Pelicans, if Zion's not there, then I don't see them making that push this year. So
that's true.
I just don't see it. And it's Sacramento and Phoenix, and you just push them to the side. Just push them to the side. It's like y'all I don't know why y'all invited, to be honest.
Yeah, really. I mean, I guess they're working on next season, getting their chemistry now.
Yeah.
So the Spurs could make a move. Never can count out Pop. So it'll be interesting to see, if they try to make that move and who's the person to lead with them. Because I think Trey Lyles, he's going to be out for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, didn't they say that Aldridge is going to be out for a minute as well?
I haven't saw that. Let's see.
I believe he is. I'm not sure. So but with Pop, he's in that category with Bill Belichick and the Nick Saban. So to me, they all run a team very similar, and they always find a way to get things done. So I would expect the Spurs to, like you said, be one of those teams that make that huge push.
And I think for the Spurs to make that huge push, their young guns got to come out to play. I mean, Dejounte Murray, Brian Forbes, Lonnie Walker, Derek White, Jacob Poeltl. Those dudes, they got to show up. They got to show up.
Yeah. I mean, this is the chance for them to take over and do something. I mean, I think DeRozan has to be the big leader as well. Like I think he's one of the better players on that team to me. This is his chance. Him and Dejounte Murray. I think they are the ones that need to lead the charge in this. And if they can do that, you're probably looking at a very solid, very solid push. But with Pop, dude, you know how Pop is. If Pop sees the effort is not there, he'll pull it quick. So we're gonna find out, very fast with the Spurs, like very fast.
Now, if the Lakers, stay in the top seed come when the season, the ends and stuff like that, the play-in games, who would you think they ever see? Would you think they ever see a young Memphis team, or maybe the Dallas Mavericks? Because I can't imagine them want to see Portland, because the times they matched up with Portland this past season, Portland kind of had their number. If you're the Lakers, if they maintain that number one seed, who do you think they want to see?
I ain't gonna lie. I definitely wouldn't want to see the Dallas Mavericks. No way in hell I would want to see them. I would want to see Memphis. Now, the reason why is because I think I'm a little biased with that, because I think that Luka is like a top dude. I got to put him top 7 in the league right now, the way he's playing, or where he was playing. Like, he's literally, I'm sorry, I can't say top 7. It's kind of top 10. He's literally like one of the better players in the league. So him, Porzingis, that roster, rotation-wise, I don't think that the Lakers want to see them right now. To whereas if they play Memphis, Memphis do have a young squad right now with Ja Morant. So they have, and then they made a lot of, I think, they made a lot of key trades. Probably going to see Justice Winslow show up a little bit. So they have, Dylan Brooks, and then obviously they got Valanciunas. So they got a couple guys, but I'm pretty sure the Lakers would rather see Memphis than Dallas, because it's more so like Memphis they're more upcoming right now. They're kind of building toward the future a little bit, whereas the Mavericks can push them to 6. I think. I don't think that the Mavericks will be a pushover team at all. Now, I don't think Memphis will be, but I just think that Dallas will be that team that they're loaded with the guards. Obviously, Porzingis, Powell's going to be out for a while. They do have Tim Hardaway as well, so they got a couple guys that they create great chemistry. They can give the Lakers a fit to where I think with Memphis, I really think AD he dominates down low. I mean, I know they got Jared Jackson, Valanciunas, a couple guys, but I don't think anybody stops AD. And then obviously, I think LeBron takes over as well. But they, I do see, like I said, Memphis as being the upcoming team. I just think that at this moment, you don't want to see Luke and Porzingis right now.
Interesting. And, Larry, shout out to everybody in the chat. Marcus, Larry, Daryl, Pierre, Terrian. Appreciate y'all being in the chat. Larry brought a good point about the rest and stuff like that. Anthony Davis, you mentioned him. He mentioned, like, the first time in a long time that, he finally get the rest, and the nagging injuries he had, like the shoulder and other things, he finally got to heal up, and he's finally fully healthy. You think that would go a long way for the Lakers in that retrospect? And kind of like, not lean on lean on LeBron, like Marcus has mentioned, but kind of, depend on AD more if he's fully healthy, like he says he is.
I think it'll be huge. I think it'll play a huge part. Now, being the fact that Rondo is not going to be there for a while,
yeah,
they're going to be missing Avery Bradley. Dwight Howard is going to probably play a big role, but most of these guys, I think LeBron is going to be the leading force. I mean, I think he's going to be the guy that leads his charge. Now, that doesn't mean that he's going to average the most points, or average the most assists or whatever. But I do think that this is where leadership is going to come into part. Even though it may seem as if AD is averaging more rebounds, more points, more assists, or whatever than LeBron. I think Bron is going to be the one that leads his team to the victories that they need. Now, the rest is huge because, as we know in the past, AD has been hurt, a few times and going through, battle of injuries. But, I think him being around LeBron, seeing how he take care of his body, I think AD has been doing the same thing. So now with this, about 4 to 5 months off, that's a lot of rest. And now it's about maintaining. Now these warm-up games they're going to get, this is going to play a huge part in the chemistry and, if the body can take, some of these games. But another thing also is, do we see, some of these players rest a little bit with only 14 to 15 games of regular season left to get ready for the playoffs? Because, I mean, you're looking at the fact that you're going to probably stay at the number 1 seed. You're going to play, a few of the important games. But if you have 3 or 4 games ahead of the Clippers, do you go all the way in and play every one of those games, or do you take some of the games back and get ready for the playoff run? So, especially dealing with AD. So, I think that his health is huge. I mean, I think that AD is a top 5 player in the league as well, especially when healthy. Like, he's almost damn near unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can get him to stay healthy and keep him healthy, and obviously adding him with LeBron, there's times where LeBron would be on a team that they would sweep the first round. I'm pretty sure you remember that. They would just sweep the first round and they would be taking a break, get ready for the other teams to duke it out and get ready for the next round. If AD can stay healthy, LeBron can be who he is, we may see a sweep the first round.
And before to move on, Marcus brings up in the chat like, who's going to be the third wheel for the Lakers? I mean, the obvious choice is maybe Kyle Kuzma, but I think it'd be a rotating cast of guys. Between Kuzma, Danny Green, Avery Bradley has looked good at times during the season, but he won't be there. And J.R. Smith and Dion Waiters, they kind of wild cards to me. Smith has been out of the league for I think this past year or so, and Waiters, we don't know what we're gonna get out of him.
Yeah.
So for the Lakers,
they.
I mean, LeBron and AD are enough to me to win a championship. To me.
Yeah, especially with the roster that they have. Yes, I think so. But that third role is going to be huge. I keep saying this person's name ever since Avery Bradley been said he's not playing. I'm just really, really high on Danny Green right now. Like, I really think that I think he plays a huge role. Now, usually, like I said, when we hear about huge roles and what somebody, the expectations, the first thing that people think is, they're going to score 1 billion points, 1 billion assists, 1 billion steals. No, I think that he plays a good role for them, like in that third spot. I think he's going to be, the most involved with the team. He's a great defensive player, so we're going to see him, strap up a lot of players. But we've seen him in the past with the Spurs. We've seen him, with the Raptors play huge roles, and I think that happens now. So I do think he takes that third spot. Now, another person I would like, but I don't see his minutes like being as high as Danny Green's, is Kyle Kuzma. This is his chance to, show what he can be. I think that what happens during this restart is going to let us know if the Lakers keep him, for the future or not. I think he has to step up. I mean, now you have a lot of players that are going to be gone for a little bit. You still need AD to get his rest. LeBron is still going to need his rest as well. So, you're going to see KCP come in. Yeah, you're going to see Caruso come in. You're going to see Danny Green, do what he has to Dwight Howard. But I think also Kyle Kuzma, his role is going to be huge as well. But for me, it is Danny Green. I think that he steps up because remember, like I said earlier, when you have all these players missing or not playing or going these different areas, what you need or you're looking at is the players the most experienced and that can lead at bad times or when times are bad. So now that you're missing some of these starters, who's going to come up and step up and take those roles? And I think it fits Danny Green perfectly.
Yeah, and we'll see, how the rest, affects the other teams as well. Especially a team like Clippers, like especially with Kawhi and Paul George, how that affects them and Pat Beverly as well. And, various other teams around the league. So it's going to be real interesting, start to this season. And, when the 22nd rolls around, it's been real cool how, how things get going with the league, shortening things to 10 minutes to get these guys kind of get things back in motion and stuff like that. So it's going to be real treat to see. But, ladies and gentlemen, on March 11th, when kind of the season kind of died down and whatnot, the NBA decided to cut their awards, how they present their awards. They kind of cut that date to March 11th to, I guess, give a deadline right there to do the NBA awards for this year. Not the full season like we've been accustomed to years past, but I think, up to that point, we got a good enough eye, like who's the MVP, who's Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and whatnot. D-Lock, I'll start with you. We'll just go down the list. Who's your MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved Player, Coach of the Year, and Defensive Player?
So I'll start with, I guess I have to push MVP back. So my rookie would have to be John Morant. I'd have to get him. We're talking about Memphis right now.
Yeah.
Being in the spot to get get a playoff spot. How often have we said that? Well, we've talked about that in the NBA. Rare. So that by itself tells me that he is somebody that definitely you have to say would win that category. Now, it'd be different if Zion started earlier. Maybe the discussion would be a little bit more harder. But I mean, he's playing tremendous right now. It's just what I see in what he's doing. So I definitely have to tag him as my rookie of the year. Coach of the year. Right now, I'd have to say Budenholzer. I'd have to say him just because the Bucks are playing amazing right now. I mean, their record is their what is their record right now? I'm pretty sure they on pace at one point to break the 72-10 Bulls record at one point, but they're definitely not gonna break that now.
They're 53-12 right now.
Yeah, so how they're playing, that roster, like I told you earlier, like they're playing amazing. So I definitely have to take him now. The thing about the Coach of the Year thing is, I wish they give that award like after the NBA Finals, so you would see throughout the playoffs, how this team actually works out. Because a lot of the times these Coach of the Year that we pick, they don't do that much during the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, so that's a little thing about that award that's kind of tricky, and some of these other awards like the MVP and a couple other ones. Defensive Player of the Year, boy. I would love to give it to Kawhi, but I can't give it to him. Now, I probably would have to say Anthony Davis. Because his numbers are just is there. Now, the thing about it is there are games that he didn't play, but when he plays, he's making so much of an impact for this team. We know Frank Vogel is a defensive guy, and AD is doing everything that is requested. I mean, he's making this defense a hell of a lot better. Now, obviously, you do have the guys that's putting the clamps on these guys, a la Avery Bradley and Danny Green. So it's making it easier, but you cannot put anything up against AD. This Lakers in the paint is not letting nothing happen. And right now, I think he's like the lead in charge of that. So we have MVP and Sixth Man of the Year left, right?
MVP, Sixth Man, Most Improved Player, and then I'm trying to think who else. What else? That's really about it. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So if I had to go with the Sixth Man, I always got to go with my guy. He's playing like lights out right now. Well, he's not going to play. He's not going to play. Well, we'll see. But Lou Williams, it's hard to not pick him. I mean, he's on a team that's making a huge move forward now. Obviously, his minutes fluctuate, and they do increase a lot more just because how Kawhi Leonard plays and the fact that Paul George is in the mix. So you do see him get in a little bit more, a little bit less from time to time. How Doc fluctuates with minutes, but dude, he's outstanding. Like, that's the number one person I would want to come off the bench. Like, that's just for me. I would have to get him as coming off. Now, it would be close between him and Trez for me. Even though it's all Clipper love there, both of these players can start on any team. Like, they really can. So, but I definitely got to go with Lou Williams. I think he's just like a stud alone. Now, Most Improved. Well, let's see. I have a person in my mind, and I want your opinion on it, even though he hasn't shot as much. But Most Improved Player to me is Ben Simmons.
Mm, I gotta hear
For
this
me.
one. I gotta hear this one.
Well, because for one, you can see that he's making a bigger impact on the 76ers. Like, Joel Embiid, we know is a star. We know who he is. But there's been times where Joel Embiid has not been there, and he's carried the 76ers a long way. Now, they made a couple trades. So, mind you, what comes with trades is chemistry mix-up. Now you got to find a way to get the chemistry right with these guys. You got to find a way to make sure that you're on the same page. And I'm not saying that he's the best player that he will be right now, but he's damn sure moving his way there. Now, obviously, there's one thing he needs to continue working on is the shooting, but I do see the improvement. I mean, I definitely see it, and not only on the court or not only shooting wise, but just leadership wise. So this team is they can be healthy. We are talking about the East, of course, but they can make some big moves, and I think he's one of the main reasons for it. I think at some point we're going to see the Philadelphia 76ers move away from Joel Embiid. That's just my opinion. I think at some point they're going to move on from him. And the person that's going to lead this team or continue to is going to be Ben Simmons. So that's what I think. I mean, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what he's done this year compared to last year, and he's definitely improved, showing that he's grown as a player. But he's not what he can be just yet. I think if he keeps moving forward and progressing, I think he's going to be there. MVP. I want to take the bias out of this. Really do. I love my guy LeBron, but I gotta go Giannis. I have to. The Bucks are they're playing. I don't like going against LeBron, but it's just how this dude is playing. Like he's leading this team. Brook Lopez doesn't do anything, bro. Like he's on there getting his minutes, but he's not doing too much to help him at all. So you have him. Robin Lopez's brother is there. He's not really doing too much. Eric Bledsoe disappears from time to time.
Yeah.
You have a good a lot of role players, but he's a cap. Like if you literally watch them play, he's grabbing every board, he's getting every assist. Like he's all over the court. So for me, I have to go Giannis. He is the most valuable player because he's the most valuable one on their team. Now with LeBron, he is valuable, but he do have a star that's damn near on his level or similar to or close to his level in AD. So LeBron is definitely, improved or moving forward. He is up there in that conversation. But it's just that when I look at who Giannis has and who LeBron have, like it's a no-brainer for me. Now, like I said, since it's already been awarded or they're already going through the season so far, this is who I'm assuming they're going to give it to. But dude, Giannis is, and then if you look at his shooting now, his shooting is definitely a problem for a lot of teams now. So he's not necessarily shooting something crazy, but he can pull up the three if he needs to. So now that you have somebody who dominates in the paint like that, and he can shoot, from time to time, he's showing big problems now. And that's why I said earlier, this is a team that could make that big move because they have, an MVP caliber player, and now they have all these veterans sitting around on the bench waiting to come in and fill the role that needs to be filled in case somebody gets injured or somebody leaves or whatever the case may be. So I definitely got to give Giannis that MVP title.
Very interesting choices. And Marcus said in the chat, Davis will never get my MVP quote as long as he's on the Lakers. Like, come on, Marcus. Never.
Yeah, I mean, it's because of who he has there with him. But it's tough to give. The thing about it also, you got to think about all the big men that came through LA. So for him to get that, you're comparing him to the Shaq, to the Kareem, to all these other guys. So It's tough, man.
All right. Well, I'll go down my list and I'll start with Coach of the Year. My Coach of the Year, I thought about Frank Vogel. I was like, well, I could go there. Doc Rivers has done a good job, minus his star players not playing. I mean, they've been playing, but, they have missed a few games, and he's done a very solid job. But my two choices came down between these two coaches. First in Toronto, Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
They still kept their style play up. Siakam is blossoming to he's a top 15 player in the league who I think eventually can maybe squeeze in that top 10 talk. We shall see. But everything's still clicking up there even without Kawhi. Siakam's playing great. Fred VanVleet's playing very well. Up to that point. Everything, they're still constant and whatnot. Now, I know Siakam missed some games, but the train kept on moving. The spoken wheel, they kept on moving. I say, wow, y'all really did a nice job. And, with them after this season, a whole bunch of cap saves come off the books. We'll see what they do with that team. He was one person I thought about. My second person was Billy Donovan with Oklahoma City Thunder.
Not bad.
Reason I had Billy there, I ain't think that team, even with Chris Paul, I ain't think that team is going to be nothing.
Well, they are, yeah.
I mean, I thought, even with Chris Paul in tow and with that team, that make up that team, they were at least a good 34-35 win team. And they definitely has shut people up. And, credit to Chris Paul for not kind of phoning it in and expecting to get a trade elsewhere to a contending team. He stuck it out with this crew. And, with the young buck, in tow with him and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who I got as my most improved player. It's kind of like a tie between him and Bam Adebayo. Those two right there.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's cutting it close between those two for me, D-Lock. But Billy Donovan with this team, the pieces that he has, a contending six man in Dennis Schroeder. It's like, he deserves credit on all the world. And, it's easy, to make fun of Bill Donovan, a few years back, having that 3-1 lead against the Warriors and then squandering it. But, he didn't let that kick his ass. And now he's in a position in OKC that he got a young player, even if they do move on from Chris Paul after this year or next, got some young pieces there, got ample draft pick capital. The future is great for OKC. So if I had to pick one between those two guys, I had to go with Bill and Donovan.
Yeah.
I think he's done a great job this year, and my hat's off to him.
And they got a lot of picks too.
Oh yeah, a lot of picks, and it's going to be real interesting to see. Since OKC is the team that don't like being high in the luxury tax cap and all that stuff. If they move some of those picks along with Chris Paul to get some other stars back or young players back to kind of grow with Alexander and crew, that's one thing I'm kind of looking at as well.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, they do have a lot. They have a lot of picks, and they got the guard that they need, or a couple guards. Like that, you're right. It'll be pretty good.
So that's who got my coach of the year. My rookie of the year, it should be. He should run away with this. He should, but we know how funny the media could be sometimes. But it should be John Morant, hands down. And I know Zion is going to get his votes. They seem so hard pressed to push Zion in there. It's not going to happen. John Morant, easily. They're never surprised team. Memphis, how well he has played this year, D-Lock. I mean, you can't say enough about the dude. You know, averaging 17.6 rebounds, up to that point. 7 assists. You can't go against that. And like you mentioned, if Zion came into the fold earlier, then maybe. But, with Morant, in my eyes, he's just done everything that you want in a rookie, plus some. So that's who my rookie of the year is. It should be no questions asked on that. And I really can't think of a rookie who's come close to his impact this year. My sixth man, I thought about Lou Williams, but Goran Dragic has looked pretty good this year coming off the bench.
Yeah, you're right. He has.
He has looked pretty good coming off the bench. And, at times, if it wasn't for his play, the Miami Heat would have lost some games. And, he's up in his 30s now, but he's still playing at a very high level. And he was a guy that's kind of like, there was rumored to be traded with Chris Paul to Miami, but it didn't happen. But, you kind of wonder if that didn't happen, what happened with the impact of the guys like the Kendrick Nunn and stuff like that? With those guys that like Kendrick Nunn, we have that type of impact come off the bench compared to starting. Because with basketball, some guys like starting and they feel confident when they're starting, and when they're on the bench, it's like totally different. I mean, you see that from I see it coaching youth basketball. You saw some kids, you may start a kid here and there, and then if you tell them, hey, I'm bringing you off the bench, their whole demeanor change. And they just soak on the bench. Not saying these professionals would do it, but, it's just different mindsets happen when that goes along. So that's who I'll pick my sixth man, Goran Dragic. Defensive player, I'll go in Giannis.
Yeah.
The only reason I go with him, like you mentioned, you can't depend on Brook Lopez to help you out in defense.
You can't at all, dude. Like,
you can't.
You really can't, dude. Like, if you watch, dude, I'm pretty sure a lot of our fans been watching. Dude, if you watch the Bucks, oh my gosh, it's bothering. Just to watch how Brook Lopez is there, standing at the 3-point line, letting Giannis get boards and blocks and steals.
Yeah, and Giannis, he's averaging 13.7 rebounds. Granted, Brook Lopez has got 2.5 blocks, which I am amazed in. But just the impact and his reach that Granted, he averages one steal a game, one block a game, but for him to guard multiple positions like he does, the impact that he makes, I think he's probably top 5 defensive players in the league. Probably along with AD, Kawhi. I maybe missed somebody else up in there, but I think he's maybe that guy for defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
If I choose number 2, maybe AD. You know, if Kawhi hasn't missed games, I'll probably throw his stat in there as well.
I was thinking the same thing.
But I'm going Giannis as defensive player of the year. I think he'll squeak out one in his career. I think this is maybe the year they give it to him.
I already know what she's going to say for MVP then. I already know.
MVP's tough. It's going to be tough. I kind of thought about James Harden, averaging close to 35 points with Houston. But Houston is just like the small ball lineup, it's hit and miss. It's like James Harden got to do a lot of work to get to those 35 points. It's like, I thought about him. Like, no. I thought about AD, but, it's that LeBron shadow there is just like kind of hard.
Yep.
It's almost kind of like a Kobe and Shaq thing as well. Because you think at times like, granted Shaq won those finals MVPs, but you thought maybe, Kobe was squeak out one. And then you down to Giannis and LeBron.
The big dogs.
I think with the Lakers bounce back this year and Giannis getting it last year, I think LeBron get his MVP this year. I think he gets it this year. But it's gonna be a tight race because at times LeBron's defense been pretty lacking the past couple of years. If y'all watch Laker games, his defense at times D-Lock to me, and it's like, damn dog, you could have been better on that play and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I kind of admire about Giannis. He's like pedal to the metal from beginning to end. LeBron's like that, but it's like sometimes it's picky choosy with him.
But he's a little older now too, so we're not seeing that 30-year-old LeBron now. And then also we may not be seeing. People probably don't. A lot of people may notice it, and I'm pretty sure you probably do. But you see that. Well, we talked about it a little bit earlier. But you see that AD is slowly like the guy on that team. Like when they say the guy, I'm not saying scoring points. I'm saying like he's doing everything. So he's grabbing boards, he's getting assists, he's doing a lot of those things. And, as I said, everything is running through him. So we're not seeing the full throttle of LeBron right now. Now, during playoffs, I think he goes 0 dark 30, if I remember correctly, and he gets off social media. That may be a different LeBron. That's the MVP LeBron that you're, saying, well, that's the LeBron that's like, well, I haven't seen it in a while. That's when he'll show up.
Yeah. And, if LeBron don't get this MVP reward, will his mindset come change in this, NBA season? Well, in this NBA restart, where he going to show the world that, okay, I didn't get this, so I'll show y'all. Come restart. I'll change our minds, come moving forward. So that's who I got my MVP award. I said it's like a toss up between Giannis and LeBron, but I'm going with LeBron because of the Lakers' resurgence this year. I feel like these riders may gift the Lakers a bone here. But real quick before we get to our last subject, E-Lock, Executive of the Year, Sam Presti, or you think somebody else?
I would have to say Sam Preston. I mean, I don't really see. I did like. I ain't gonna lie. Like what Pat Riley has done with the Heat has been very impressive to me. I just like the fact that they hit basically all of the draft picks. Remember, we're talking about Dragic being $6 million a year because of Kendrick Nunn. So I do like what Pat Riley has done. His front office. Also, they got what's the kid name? I can't. Why is it drawing a blank right now? I have to go to the roster real quick. The shooting guard,
Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson and the other guy they got.
Tyler Hero.
Yep. So, I think they made some good moves, and I just like what that could have, what it has done. But Sam Presti definitely.
I go with Sam Presti as well. Like getting the draft picks back and for the future, and his team's still contending. For a playoff spot. I mean, that's a very good job. Marcus mentioned the chap Rob Pelinka as well, and with Magic out of the way, he has built a very very solid roster. And would they give it to him? I don't know. The stuff he says sometimes, if y'all watch some interviews, what he talk about, he says some weird crap. But anyways, besides all that, the dude knows his basketball. That's one name, to consider. Like I said, you mentioned Pat Riley. I mean, finding those hidden gems and hitting on those late draft picks in the lottery has turned out pretty well. Granted, Justin Wilson has never worked out for them, but getting Jimmy Butler in, moving Dragic to the bench, you still keeping things great going for Miami.
Yeah, building for the future too.
And building for the future too. You're right. And if I had to throw one more name in there, maybe Danny Ainge replacing, Kemba or replacing Kyrie with Kemba. I thought about that as well. To lure that free agent in, you lose Al Horford, but you get another splash in Kemba Walker, and you keep him away from New York potentially, and I thought Danny Ainge, at times he's sometimes one of the luckiest executives in the league because if you read the stories of years past, he'd be one ready to dump loads of first round picks to grab a certain player, but the trade never fall through, and then that said player never worked out for them for that other team, and he's been escaped by his teeth. But he has been hitting his stride here and has been a more cautious executive instead of trying to lay his chips on the table here and there. So Danny Ainge is number one to consider as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics are the Celtics, so he did pick up that piece, and that played a huge part. But there's so many. The NBA is good with players right now, and it's continuing to increase. But yeah, I mean, that's that's a tough award to give out as well.
And before we get out of here, folks, we do want to talk about this subject. I know we're running a little over, but Elena Della Donne, for the Washington Mystics. I didn't notice about her, but she has Lyme's disease, and
Right.
she's story has come back. She will be paid for her, services, but with the coronavirus pandemic going on and her disease, and them going to this bubble in Florida, and you talk about this beginning of the show. Florida is like a hotbed for everything going on right now in terms of COVID cases and whatnot. The WA, doctors, the independent board of doctors denied her request to opt out of the season due to medical concerns. Her physician told her that she's a high risk for potentially contracting COVID-19 and facing complications from it. Yet her request to opt out of the 2020 season due to medical concerns was denied by a panel of independent doctors approved by the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association. So when you hear that, D-Lock, and we talk about, like we talked about earlier in the show, these guys' health and whatnot, and how they're going to go about testing. What you think about, the WNBA not taking her situation with care?
To me, it just tell you how much of a business it is.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn it the hard way, just as an athlete. That at the end of the day, it is a business. So we do love what we do, as athletes, or she loved the sport, love being part of it. We're seeing it, as we talked about off air, with the NFL player coming out, and saying, well, we need a direction, all this stuff. We need to see what's going on. In this scenario where it's basically a life and danger scenario, a life matter, they're not giving you the opportunity to opt out. Just doesn't make any sense. So for me, it just proves that, it shows how much of a business this is. And, at the end of the day, I've heard people say is everything about money. Does everything have to be really about money? And it sucks to think that that's how this world is, but as you can see here, that's what's happening. I mean, right now, somebody who could be fighting for their life with different diseases going on, you are telling them that they can't opt out. So that to me just shows how much of a, hey, we're worrying about us, and kind of I hate to say it, but a shut up and dribble mentality, because now it's not, hey, get well and come back when you can. It's more so of a, well, I don't care, but you still have to be here. It sucks, but we can't be blind to this. This is not something that's new. Multiple players or different athletes have dealt with things very similar, just not as big. But it does take, something so drastic for a lot of people, to realize, hey, like, these are not just players, they're humans as well, but you're treating them as if, they're just players. Like, they're for your entertainment, that's it. So it sucks. And it's sad to hear that. But this is with any job, right?
Yeah.
This is, we do say, okay, well, athletes are the ones that get a lot of attention. So yeah, we hear this and it's, how tragic. But there's a lot of people all around the world, who have these similar diseases, things that's going on, and they still have to report to work because it's a business. And it's a hard pill to swallow. Like, it really is. Like, I'm telling the fans, people hearing from my personal experience, That is a very, very hard pill to swallow because it's very bothersome to think that, my life is not important to you. All you care about is me being entertainment to you. So that's sad. But now, hopefully in the future, this is something that future players would pay attention to and put in their contracts, notice and talk about with their agents and stuff like that, because this is something that's not going to change unless you prepare yourself for it. So, but this is a lesson that needs to be learned, for future references.
Yeah, and she stated in an article she posted in the Players Tribune. She stated in an open letter, like, when I got the call that I was denied, I was completely shocked. I didn't understand. Good for the Washington Mystics that they're going to stick by her financially and vocally. That's a great thing, because it'd be like very, very bad press if they weren't going to support her and not pay her. That would be kind of crappy what's going on right now. And, these WNBA players, especially the very talented ones, more popular ones like her, they don't make a lot of money like that. And that's why you see a lot of them go overseas and play ball to kind of make more money than, on top of their WNBA salary. But, you're talking about a team like Washington last year, D-Law, that went 26-8 last year. And, Della Donne, one of the best women players out there, if what's this going on is she don't play. If you're Washington, it's like, yeah, we'll show up and play, but it's like, we're not winning no shit without her.
Yeah, that's a huge piece. That's definitely a big, huge piece. So it sucks too, because that's what is being thought about first is the athletic side. That's terrible.
And for her, she has had an interesting journey in basketball. Originally, played at UConn for a little bit, and then, her and Gino had that, issues between them, which that's like a very rare thing that a top player like that leaves UConn women's basketball, but that happened. She winds up at Delaware, still becomes a top pick in the WNBA. It's, has flourished ever since. And now, we talk about this, for the past couple of weeks. These guys in their health, guys like Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, Kyrie Irving, and others, on the NBA side, talking about, worrying about this health and safety and what's going to happen. You got this lady here trying to take control of her own situation, and she got denied. And this is like on top of last week, D-Log, that we talked about the center for Georgia that's like half owner of the Atlanta Dream.
Yeah.
Right, back-to-back weeks that the WNBA is not getting good looks right now.
No, they're not helping at all. And as I said before, remember I was saying when this stuff was going, this pandemic and things, this is showing the true colors, right? Like now you have scenarios where people are thinking about not necessarily their play, but the fact that they have family members they got to watch out for, all these different things. And now you have to see how the front office is going to respond. A lot of times people say, we're saying that the NBA is a players' league, the NFL is not like that. And now we're seeing these other leagues acting very similar to what we expect the NFL to do or expect from the NFL. So it's these times are good because they're showing what we need to see.
And you mentioned like the players, I guess like in the future contracts, especially, for these ladies, like for something like this happen again, I got this in the contract that who keep me safe. Because who to say if something like another, God willing, another pandemic happens and these players are forced to play, God willing, that if the Mystics will pay her this time around and sport her, they mindset probably think like, well, we already did this one for you years ago. I don't know if we're gonna do this again, you know. But if her and agent handle her business, put that type of clauses in her contract, I think you'd be looking out pretty good. And especially in the WNBA, you gotta do things like this to ensure your financial stability. You got to.
Yeah, because I mean, we're talking about not the NBA. It's just now we're talking about something so huge to where you want to keep as many fans as you can. You want to make sure that they're trying to push forward with the WNBA. So these little statements are not helping. These little responses of what they're doing are definitely not helping.
No, and I just hope for her that she won't be forced to make a decision to go out there and play. I hope she don't I hope down when she think about this, I hope she don't feel to be pressured to go out there. I mean, it's just 20 games for this WNBA season, so
yeah.
Smart for her is to sit out and come out next year and see how everything goes. But if I was her agent, I'd say, hey, just sit this one out. It's just 20 games, and we'll come back around next year and see how things go. But I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with that, my thing, dude, I ain't gonna lie, from my past experience, it sucks because all they see is what you can do for them. So at this time, it's just about, okay, well, can you do this? Like, this is your job, regardless of what you have going on. So that sucks. I mean, hopefully there's no pressure, but there will be, times where it's, hey, we need you to play, or we need this, or we need that, or it's going to be do this, or, and that's bothering, but it is a business. I mean, and I say that way because it's a hard thing to accept. A lot of people who I guess haven't been in that scenario haven't experienced that before. So it's hard to say, well, yeah, maybe she just can just, not play and just not show up or not whatever. But it's never that simple because there's so many things that play a part that could cause problems, moving forward. So for me, knowing that, it's just, dude, like that's some stuff that it's a tough pill to swallow. And a lot of times, if you haven't really been in that scenario, like I said earlier, people can say, well, yeah, just do this. Nah, it's not that simple.
No.
It's definitely not that simple. And it hurts even more.
And, we'll just end it that note. Like I said, hoping she don't feel pressure to play for this 20 games and, hopefully, Washington can persevere and move forward. But we'll see. We'll see. And Marcus a couple of guys made a point in chat, like Terry making women, should equal earn the same pay as men. It's not that simple because you got to generate revenue in the league, and with the WNBA, it's hit and miss sometimes with revenue. And I think they have kind of missed the star power they have compared to years past. They got some nice pieces in the league, but it don't help that Candace Parker misses a whole bunch of games every year. Just about. You really got this Della Donne here that's really at the face of the league. Just about. So we'll see how things shake out for the league. But this has been our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in tonight. And shout out to the chat, everybody in the chat tonight. Thank y'all for listening, chiming in and stuff like that.
Definitely appreciate that.
We love the energy tonight. A lot of energy tonight, especially, the Laker talk. Y'all going back and forth on that. But we appreciate the energy tonight. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You definitely can find me at Black-813. I do have a YouTube channel. Basically touch a lot of Buck stuff, but I do touch on different things as well. You definitely can find me on Instagram and Twitter, Black-813. And tune in and see what I talk about. And we have another show coming up next week. And we'll definitely cover up, a few other things. I don't know where they can find you.
You can find me, The Crooks Process, at Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on there. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. A lot of great topics to talk about next week. The season will be almost in full gear. I mean, we'll talk about the preseason games and how some of these guys look and whatnot, and we'll discuss, how that's going to translate to the rest of the season. Please do follow, if you haven't already, the Fast Break Twitter page. That's at Fast Break. Also, check out iesports.com. You can catch all previous shows on there. And, of course, the hosts and wonderful, talented shows that we have on there as well. But until next week, ladies and gentlemen, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.